Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Cup of Nurses, episode number 58, I believe.
Yes.
58, almost to the big 6-0. But thank you, everybody, for your follows. Thank you, everybody that follows on YouTube. Got those 1,000 subs plus. Awesome milestone. Make sure you guys leave some comments. If you guys have any great ideas about the episodes or just want to talk, definitely drop in the comments. Thank you also for all the follows on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Make sure to check out the merch and our website, show notes, couplenurses.com, and our new beautiful website, wearefrontlinewarriors.com.
I love how it looks. I love the movement that we have going. There's so much things in store. I'm pumped for it, but all you have to know is that it's a conscious movement and we're going to change things in society. Right?
Right.
Let's go. Give me a pounder here. All right. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about the law of attraction, what it is, how you can implement it in your life, how it works, our experience. And it's believed to be pseudoscience, but I really believe into it. It's one of those principles that if you understand it and follow it, I think it does bring in results.
Yeah, and a short scale is basically you are your thoughts. You are who you think you are. You are the person you are in your head. And the way you think about yourself in your head is also the same way people perceive you. So basically, you are whatever you think you are. I think Socrates once said that, or Plato, one of the philosophers.
Yeah.
And that's from it's truly honestly what it really is,
Yeah, and it's an ancient spiritual practice. So even though, let's just say you're religious, it's not wrong understanding it and maybe applying it into your life because it does bring, I believe, a lot of success. And the book The Secret really started the popularity like in 2006, and it became like, oh my God, it's the law. And it really is powerful. And, it starts with really the present moment. And just like you said, the general concept is you are what you think. And it really is very powerful because whatever you think in your eyes, in your like mind eye, and manifest it and think about it really hard and also reinforce it by action, it'll come into your life.
That's why you could change the person you are today for the better and be a different person tomorrow. Like David Goggins preaches this, and he basically represents the law of attraction in one way, shape, or form because he breaks his fears, right? So he has different fears in his mind, and the way he gets over them is by doing it, whatever scares him. And then that way, that puts a memory in his head that, hey, he actually did it.
And it's callousing the mind. So that's actually a very good point. The law of attraction is working for him too. And just a disclaimer that this lacks scientific evidence because here at Cup of Nurses, we're always, trying to give evidence-based. So there is no science behind this, but I really believe that science can't really measure this life's mystery, Like there's something that operates beyond our, understanding in nature, and it's not measurable by science, and I don't think it ever will be because that's one of life's biggest mystery.
Yeah, and that goes to a theory where we all come from one. Even all the religions preach that we all come from one, from God, right? So there's something that's in us that's unmeasurable, like Matt said, and that's basically what happens next after we die, right? And we can't really figure out exactly why we're here and why we do things, but there is a certain energy that comes when you do things, and that's unmeasurable. That's the unmeasurable part that Matt's talking about, where if you all come from one, we're all somehow linked in one. And how are you able to relate on people in different countries, you could say, or different backgrounds, is through like energy. Because even though you might not know how to speak someone's language, you put yourself in there in a room with that same person and you don't know how to communicate, you still feel something, right? And that's the vibration, that's the energy.
And that's that Cali vibe term. It's a vibe.
Yeah.
That vibe is that vibration. That's that person's aura, that energy that they bring. It's a different language. It's almost like the first language that we learn as kids, as babies growing up, where you trust somebody, and it's just this universal understanding.
Yeah.
And I think, even looking at religion, Jesus said, as a man think in his heart, so he is. So as he think in his heart, so he is. And that literally is almost a law of attraction. And that's a universal thing that we see in a lot of religions.
Right.
So Dr. Joe Dispenza has a very great understanding about the power of the mind. And he's a great doctor for those. You guys should check him out on YouTube. But just to start off the show of how the law works, we should first understand what Joe has to say. I think it's very beautiful here. So if you believe that your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, if you can't think greater than how you feel, or feelings have become the means of thinking, then by the very definition of emotions, you are thinking in the past. And for the most part, you're going to keep creating the same life.
Yeah.
So every morning, most people get out of bed on the same side of the bed, go to the toilet, get a cup of coffee, take a shower, get dressed, drive to work the same way, do the same thing, meet the same people that push their same emotional buttons, and that becomes a routine. And it's almost like becoming a program of your life. And this is how people start losing their free will to this program. And it's almost unseen because it eventually becomes conscious. So Dr. Joe kind of makes a very great point that a lot of people wait for trauma or a special event for something to, create a big change in their life, like get out of a bad relationship or finally lose weight. But you don't have to wait for something bad to happen to start this. It could happen at any point of your life. And it could even start right now, getting motivated to listen to this podcast. So you could do it at a state of joy and manifest it through, let's just say, like the law of attraction, instead of waiting for something bad to happen.
Yeah, that's probably a giant major point, is that many people wait for some negative consequence to their continuous action. There's always that toxic relationship that finally someone has the last straw and it gets ended, right? No one ever takes the initiative. And that's the crazy thing. As society, we always wait for this negative. And the thing is, we're always enforced with negativity. What's the biggest changing factor is negativity. If you can make someone's life worse, then we're going to be more prone to change, right? But people don't understand that. Why can't this change be harnessed on a positive scale?
Exactly.
Why can't change be associated with positivity? Why is it always something negative, like something hard that you have to really struggle through to achieve? It doesn't have to always be like that.
You know how you have that friend where if you go unchecked or they notice something about you, they basically check you like, hey, listen, this is happening. You should do the same thing for yourself. Like the people that are listening, this is how you change negative behavior. It's almost like checking your emotional self. Like, why am I thinking like this? Why am I so negative? And this is how you start kind of becoming more aware of what are you manifesting really in your life. And it makes a lot of sense because, we're going to talk about how does this law work. And it makes sense that you have the ability to attract in life whatever you're focusing on. So you're attracting more of the way you're thinking. And in order to start breaking the negative patterns, you have to start realizing what you're thinking and what are the behaviors and the patterns, the routines that are being created by these thoughts.
Yeah. And how your thoughts impact your actions. Because action is great. It's the best way to take part of change and grow. But you can't have action if you don't even think about it, right? If you don't want to change or you don't know how to change or never thought about changing, then you're not going to change. You have to be at first conscious and aware of what you're thinking. Because many of the times, if you're a negative thinker and you're always thinking of negative situations, you're probably always in a negative situation. And that's where a lot of attraction happens, is you finally flip a switch and start thinking positively, and positive things start to happen.
Yeah.
And a good example, so real quick, a few weeks ago, Matt and I we were talking about law of attraction, how we're going to script an episode, and we were having a chat about something, and then for some reason we ended up getting some food and we got free pizza somehow.
Yeah.
Just by looking back at how grateful we are for certain people and just how grateful our life has been to us. And life just gave back just like that.
And we noticed that moment and we're just like, wow, this is really reflective
Right.
of it. And whether you're conscious of it or not conscious of it, you are a human magnet to this energy that you're attracting in life. And according to this law, you're attracting whatever it is, right? So there's 3 universal principles. And the first one is positivity attracts positivity. So as we're talking about it, good vibes are going to bring positive results and behaviors. And because you're projecting this energy out to the world, more than likely you're going to attract it back. It's almost like karma. It's like the same principle.
Yeah.
And the other one is nature arbors a vacuum. And this is something that Aristotle said. And this phrase is that space in nature needs to be filled by something. So your mind has to be filled by either positive or negative thoughts, but you could choose what's being filled in that space in your life.
Yeah.
You just have to take control over it.
Yeah, very, very powerful. Yeah, the third one is the present. The present is key. Why it's so important being in the present is because sometimes you've been in life in multiple situations and you think that the same situation is going to produce the same outcome. But it's not how it works at all. Sometimes when people fall into these traps of getting to these negative outcomes is because they're too reliant on how this happened before. let's say they're in a certain situation over and over again and it keeps resulting in the same thing, is because they keep thinking it's going to result in the same outcome. And people fall into that trap where they never think of the positive side of it, and it never comes, it never happens, because they can't even picture a positive side. And you have to catch yourself and check yourself and say, hey, just because I've been in a similar situation in the past doesn't mean the result is going to be the same. And then if you can't think about the present, how are you going to be able to change your future?
Yeah, you have to literally imagine every single day like a blank canvas. And that's why it's so important, I feel like, not going on your phone right away. Because if you click on whatever you're clicking on, whatever you were thinking about that social platform, it could create the same emotion. So instead you wake up and let's just say dedicate half an hour to your day. You are that blank canvas, and you are the artist of your life. You could paint that day however you want to. And that's what like the law of attraction is where you want to manifest that. Some people maybe visualize it the day before. You could wake up and just visualize that day and draw that canvas and then go about your day.
Yeah. But please use some common sense. If you put your hand over a fire on the first day, don't do it the next day, because it's probably going to happen again.
Yeah, common sense.
Common sense is going to be involved. As a disclaimer,
Exactly. So in order to practice this, you have to realize the power behind it, and that's what we're describing. So there's common practices that you could develop the law of attraction into your life. And one of them is practicing gratitude, is expressing positive emotions about your day. And you could practice it in the morning, maybe at night, but practicing gratitude is one way to attract that, and also visualizing your goals. And that's what I said, you could do it morning, day, but manifest how you want your day to go, or maybe your 3-month, 6-month, however you want to do that, but put visualization behind it.
Yeah, gratitude, I think, is a really big one, because when you put gratitude into the world, you're basing your gratitude off someone doing the same thing, right? That means you view the world as most likely half full than half empty. The glass half full than half empty.
Yes.
You view the world as there's more good people than bad people. That's why you pass gratitude on. You can't be that person in the room that always sees somebody else as they're trying to take advantage of me, or they're trying to do something to me, right? You can't be playing that role as everyone's your enemy, because then you can't practice gratitude, because you think everyone's against you, so there's no point of it.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so powerful what you're consuming in everyday life, because look at the mainstream media. It portrays such a negative image of the world, right? Violence and things are happening. There's always wars, and that perception is literally creating a reality. And then the people are expressing that within their neighbors, and it's almost like a virus that spreads. And this is the picture that we're painting in everyday life.
Yeah.
And we can change that by just changing our thoughts.
Almost like a George Orwell type of life,
Yeah, and crazy. Yeah, it sounds creepy, and it's almost that's why the mind is so powerful, because just like Dr. Joe Dispenza said, it's a program that's created. So, if we're consuming, let's just say, this X amount of bad news, yes, over time you're gonna have that mentality and develop that, because it's a program. And it's almost going unchecked in your life, unconscious or conscious.
Right.
And that's why, like, when you take time and unplug from the world and the news and take time for, being, let's just say, passionate or enjoying your time, it's nice. You forget about all this, and then you manifest that because through the law of attraction, right?
Yeah, that goes right into optimism and being able to identify negative thinking. You have to be optimistic about the world, because think about it. You could either be optimistic or pessimistic. Like, pick the better one out of the two. It's 50-50 chance, right? So why not just be optimistic about it? And you can only be optimistic if you understand that, hey, there is going to be some negative thinking, and it's okay that it's there, but it shouldn't be the majority of my thoughts.
Exactly. Very good point. And also positive affirmations is another one. So you could, verbally express how you feel, like, hey, today's going to be a great day. I could achieve whatever my mind sets to. And you could run with that. Like, it literally takes, 2 to 5 minutes a day if you really want to apply this law. You could also do it like in meditation. You could do it in your self-care routines where you're being kind to yourself. And that could be simple things like setting time for yourself or diet and exercise. It all plays into that, right? If people believe in like the frequencies and the vibrations, if you're consuming great food and you're feeling good, if you feel good inwardly, you're going to be expressing outwardly the same way.
Right. And meditation plays a big role in this, because meditation is one of the only times where you're going to be able to be just strictly in your thoughts.
Yeah.
And if you don't know where to start, and if you want to change some aspect of your life, start with meditation. Just be in a room quiet by yourself, just so you understand what thoughts do you work with, because these are our continuous thoughts, right? So sometimes we don't realize what we're actually thinking, because sometimes we do tasks at work and we blindly having mindless chatter in our brains, and that plays influence on us, even though we're not paying attention to it. It still has an effect on our bodily functions, you could say.
It's unchecked, right?
Right, it's unchecked. And you have to be able to catch yourself, because you might think, hey, my thoughts must be positive. I feel like a positive person, but you may not be until you actually check yourself.
Yeah, and that's why the hand that you were given in life, if you were raised with a family with trauma or bad things or depression or anxiety, whatever your shortcomings, we're all human and we all have our own, pain that we go through.
A good place to always start, and we talk about this all the time, is meditation. If you think you need to change or want to change, the first step you have to take is understanding who you are and what kind of thoughts go through your head. Because you may think you're a positive person, but a lot of the thoughts that are going through your mind are negative, and you have to realize that and accept that. Because if you don't accept it, and it's okay if you have these thoughts. Everyone has these thoughts, but some people have them more than others, But it's okay that you have them. Just be acceptance of them, and just know that they're going to change. Because sometimes we're at work and we do certain tasks, and we have this mindless chatter going on in our heads, and we think it's positive or beneficial, but it's really not. It's sometimes usually pointless. You're thinking about something outside of work that you shouldn't be thinking about, some gossip, and that kind of reflects on the person you are. Because if you have gossip in your head going on nonstop, that's most likely reflective of the person you are, and I'm sure that's the reason why you want to probably change.
Yeah, and that's the melodrama that goes on. Sometimes you have to let go. And also with meditation, you could also heal maybe bad energy centers, and shout out to Tasha if you're listening. We went to that Reiki session where we found out which energy centers are unbalanced. And meditation is powerful because that could be reflective of, maybe self-judgment or problem with self-love, whatever it is. You have to do that reflective work. Life, you are a lifelong learner. And what that means that life is always going to be teaching you things, and you always have to be constantly learning. And this is the same thing with meditation and the law of attraction and emotionally checking yourself. It's just a lifelong journey. And that's why, it's also important to manifest the law of attraction. You have to reflect on your progress.
Oh, for
and,
sure.
And that goes with being realistic,
Yeah, that's probably the big one. Sometimes we get so caught up in, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to hit that goal, and we never look back on how we progressed, and we never give ourselves that thank you or that deep breath of relaxation, or just understanding that, hey, I've come far. This is for me. It's a good progress. Let's keep going. You have to look back, because sometimes you lose focus on what you're doing, and you lose focus because you don't understand how much you've already did. And that's where this also leads to burnout, in a workplace, just burnout in your head, burnout in relationships, because you're not giving yourself enough credit, and you're trying to do more than almost you should, and what you're capable of doing, because that's not sustainable in the long term.
And that perfectly goes into practicing self-acceptance. And that goes into focusing on the present moment, not thinking how things should be, maybe what they could have been, just accepting them for what they are. Yeah. And, that goes into accepting yourself. Maybe sometimes something bad happened or something embarrassing, and you're just beating yourself up for it. And acceptance goes a long way, because you're going to be manifesting positive energy. If somebody doesn't love themselves and always negative, what are they attracting more into their life?
For a reality check, there's no scientific backing of the law of attraction, but just think about it for a second and just try and use a little bit of common sense and realize that you really are the person that you think you are, and you really do the things you think you can do, and you could be the person you think you can be. It's all attainable and achievable. It's just you have to understand yourself and actually put these things out in the world, because there is that sixth sense that we have as humans that we can't explain. There is that deja vu moments where you can't explain, and then there's those moments where you walk in a room and you get these feelings and you can't explain them either.
It's your intuition that's guiding you. It's an internal moral compass that everyone has, this seed of consciousness technically that's doing something if you listen to it, and you have to be realistic, right? Because at the end of the day, just like you said, your habits dictate everything, right? And every people that are becoming successful, it's a trajectory that takes time. It takes thousands of hours of days of compounding work to manifest that. And you have to be realistic with this. This law of attraction does work where you can tell yourself every day you're going to be fit if you want to be healthy, or you're going to find a boyfriend or girlfriend if that's what you want to manifest in your relationships, or if you want to change your behavior, but it takes time. You have to be realistic. You have to be honest with yourself, accept yourself, love yourself. And it's a daily battle, but it will come if you truly believe in it. And that's why it's a spiritual law that you could apply with your, if you're religious or anybody.
Yeah. Your past has shaped you to the person you are today, but only you and what you do today can shape the future of yourself. And that's a big component of law of attraction.
Yeah. And that's why you have to be optimistic. And, those viewpoints are going to dictate behavior that's going to create attitude that's creating that habit.
Yeah.
So in our experience, yes, we've applied it. We started wanting to help and educate people, right? The whole blog thing, we started writing. We wanted to do a podcast. We manifested technically through the law of attraction, but it took some hard ass work to get where we are and having this conversation.
Yeah, it's easy to look at physical things. It's easy to look at physical goals that you've attained and achieved and you've strived for, and it feels great. But the craziest realization is looking back at your life and thinking of who the person you were X amount of years ago and how your thoughts have changed to what they are today. And it's groundbreaking.
Yes.
People have completely changed their lives. People that used to do drugs and stuff completely flipped their lives. They're doing good things in the community, and it's just all law of attraction because they thought they could do it and then they end up doing it. It's really that simple, but it's just harder to grasp than it has to be for some people. It's really not that hard to understand.
And that's why accepting yourself and other people is important, because they could truly change. They could rewrite that old programming that, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, and you could, ultimately change your life.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening to this awesome episode, and just a shout out to these awesome t-shirts on We Are Frontline Warriors. You could get them, and this is what we believe in, this conscious movement. We believe in the law of attraction, that you could really do a lot, and we want to do a lot of good things in the world, so we got a lot in store. So make sure you're supporting this movement. Hope you guys like this episode. Catch you guys on the next one.
Thank you so much.
Peace.
Bye-bye.